How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. A couple people have asked me to do this video talking about a stock that I hold in my portfolio. It's one that's Bitcoin related. It's one that I had bought a decent amount of, and I actually accumulated a little bit more in the bear market, and it's been going crazy recently. I'm going to talk about CleanSpark and their last earnings. They're up 33% here today. I want to explain why I think this is happening. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video. There's also a link down there to Margex in case you want to trade cryptocurrency on leverage. You can check out that link underneath the video. There's also a link to my Patreon where you can see what I'm doing because I did buy some of this stock along with other crypto related stocks during the bear market, and I bought a lot of Bitcoin too. So CleanSpark is up 32% here today. This is one that I talked about during the last bull market. I had bought, it went up drastically and then fell down, and then it's just really volatile. If you look at the last 5 years here, it went all the way down to under $2 in the bear market. Since then, it's up 600%. Now, I actually know someone that put, I think it was around 50 to 100 grand in CleanSpark. They put their entire stock portfolio, they had a lot more in crypto at the time anyways, but they put everything they had in stocks just into the miners, and they're making out like bandits. Today, up a lot as well. Like I said, 32% here today. Now, I want to explain why I think this is. They announced earnings, and they were good. They were impressive. And actually, I've met with the management team before. I've met them, I should say, at a conference. Really solid guys. I like how the company is run. To be clear, I do hold a position. I'm not shilling it. It's very small compared to some of my crypto positions, like my native crypto positions. And I'm not trying to get anyone to buy the stock. You can buy it, you can sell it. I don't care. I'm not employed by the company or anything like that either. So this is just my own thoughts on CleanSpark. But Zach, Matthew, if you guys are ever looking for someone that you want to work with, let me know. Reach out. Let's take a look at the stock. Obviously, like I said, up 32%. Just so you have an idea for what this company is, they are a Bitcoin miner. A lot of people just hear that and they're like, okay, cool. They maybe own a couple Bitcoin miners. This is a $2.75 billion market cap, and they own about 90,000 Bitcoin miners. Now, in case you can't wrap your head around that, I own a Bitcoin miner. It's about this big. It's like a computer tower, but it's really heavy. It's 20 pounds maybe. They own 90,000 of those. Think about that. That is crazy. Like 90,000 times 20 pounds is how much weight they have in just hardware in the actual miners. They have about 577 Bitcoin that they produce a month. I think that was from February. Or from January. They're at 10.09 exahash. Now, the whole Bitcoin mining network fluctuates a little bit, but it's around 500 exahash. So they have about, if I'm doing my math right, about 2% of all Bitcoin mining goes through CleanSpark. Now, they are in a very good position for the Bitcoin halving. This is the big X factor that happens that I think throws people off of wanting to invest in stocks like this. Like even I own a position in this, but I thought about maybe buying some more, but it was like, with the Bitcoin halving, it throws a wrench in it because it does affect companies' operations. But as you can see here, they have assets of about 49 million in cash, about 127 million in Bitcoin. They have total current assets of just these two things of about $182 million. I think there's a little bit, there's maybe 5 million of something else in there or something. But they have total assets of about 862 million. So that includes deployed miners, prepaid deposits, probably some land in there as well. So they have total assets of about 862 million. Their total liabilities about 52 million. That's pretty impressive. So they actually have a very strong balance sheet, and they're not selling a lot. Like we know last month, a lot of Bitcoin miners sold to get ready for the next Bitcoin halving. CleanSpark's been doing almost the opposite of what miners have done the whole time. Like last month, they did not sell much. They sold 6.4 Bitcoin, which is a couple $100,000. They mined 577. So they sold 1% of Bitcoin. Now they're stacking Bitcoin. Their total Bitcoin holdings as of the end of last month, about 3,573 Bitcoin. Now they are planning on increasing their hash rate as well. This is something that I saw, what was that, 3 days ago? And I should have read more about it, but I didn't until today. They got really good deals from what I can tell. Of course, it depends on how old the miners are. It depends on the land. It depends on what kind of cooling system. Like there's a lot going on. And I should have prefaced this whole video by saying I'm not like the number one person to talk to on CleanSpark. Like I look at Bitcoin a lot. That is what I study. That is what I dig into. CleanSpark is another play on Bitcoin to me. There are people that dive a lot deeper on CleanSpark, like Invest Answers, like Rex from Rex Finance. They talk about CleanSpark a lot, but I just want to preface it by saying that I'm not saying that I'm right on all this stuff. Like, as you can tell, I didn't read this for 3 days after they announced it, and I do hold a position in CleanSpark, so probably should do a little bit better at that. But they announced that they're going to acquire 3 turnkey Bitcoin facilities in Mississippi. So they're paying about $20 million. They're expected to close this within 3 weeks. And the operating hash rate for these facilities is 2.4 exahash. Now that's actually huge. Think about that for a second. That is almost a fourth of what CleanSpark is doing already. So they're buying this for $20 million. Take a look at CleanSpark's market cap, $2.75 billion. So if they were going to buy these miners for the same cost that or the same premium that they require or that they achieved, that would be like a $600 million purchase. They're buying these miners, like about 24,000 of them, depending on what kind of miners they are, but 20,000, 25,000 miners most likely. They're buying them for about $800 a piece. That's a really good deal. And they're buying turnkey facilities, so they already have everything in place. It's not like they're just being dumped all this and then they have to put manpower, they have to buy cords, they have to change electrical grids. No, it's turnkey from what they say. They're also going to get another 0.8 exahash for relatively the same amount. They're getting them for 3.4, but they have to put 3.5 million into it. So this, along with some other miners they've already bought, give them about double the hash rate. So they plan on being up to 20 exahash by about halfway through this year. Now, if I remember right, they're trying to get to 16 exahash. I could be wrong on this, but I believe they're trying to get to 16 exahash by the end of last year. But still, they're doing quite well if they're going to hit 20 by halfway through this year. So they're in a good position with cash. They're buying miners for cheap. This is one of the things that always concerned me, is that they acquire more miners, they acquire more businesses, but they dilute shareholders. You can see here, like at the end of the second quarter last year, they had 115, we'll call it 115 million shares. As of September 30, 2023, they had 160.2 million shares. So they dilute a lot. Basically, they need to buy things, so they go and dilute, is what I understand, which is the concerning part for me, because if I'm not getting rewarded more per share, then this kind of growth doesn't really help me. Like, I want more revenue per share, I want more earnings per share, and I want profitability. What they're doing is working towards that. Like, if they're diluting, I'm okay with them diluting if they're getting good deals, which is what they're showing here. Like, these are steals. Unless for some reason these miners just aren't going to be profitable, if they're too old or something, or if they're at the end of their shelf life. Unless this is the case, which I don't think they do that, but unless this is the case, these are steal deals for the company. Like, imagine being able to grow your company for 1/100th. They're paying 1/100th of their market cap to double the size of their company in terms of exahash. I guess that's not true, because this is 2.4 exahash. This is another 0.8 exahash. So they're increasing their company size by 30% for 1/100th of their company size. That's a pretty good deal. So the share dilution is one thing that I pay attention to. I know that they have to do that to continue to grow. That's the game of Bitcoin mining, because everyone is always accumulating more miners. I think part of the reason, though, that they got this deal is probably because this company didn't think that they could make it through the next bull run, or through the halving maybe. And I don't know, I wasn't behind the closed doors, but like, to get this kind of deal, obviously the other company's probably in a bad place. Maybe they just aren't as profitable. Maybe they were worried. Maybe it's just someone that wants to put 20 million into Bitcoin itself and just wants to check out. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing they're accumulating, because there are a lot of companies that are not going to make it through the next Bitcoin halving. That's the scary part, is there's a date. There is one specific day, and we are pretty close to it, a little bit over 2 months away, where CleanSpark's revenue is going to be cut in half. Like, from one day to the next, it's going to be cut in half, because the Bitcoin network is going to pay half as much in rewards. Now, the price of Bitcoin will probably go up, which will offset that. Not overnight. It's not going to, Bitcoin's price isn't going to double overnight, but it will offset that a bit. And I would think that the hash rate will probably go down right after the Bitcoin halving, because there are going to be a lot of miners that just aren't profitable. It doesn't make sense. They can't make enough money, so they're just going to unplug. So CleanSpark will probably continue to mine through that and be able to make some extra money, because there will be a lower hash rate. Now, the actual results were good from the quarter. They had revenues of about $74 million, an increase of about 46 million, or 165% from the same period a year ago. Now, adjusted for the shares, it's a very similar amount of revenue per share. Their net income for the 3 months was 25.9 million, or 14 cents basic income, compared to a loss of about 25 million, or 46 cents per share in the same year ago period. So they're actually profitable, and this was higher than expectations too. I believe they beat on both revenue and EPS estimates. Their adjusted EBITDA increased to 69.1 million, reversing from negative 2 million from the same quarter a year ago. So their metrics just in general look much better. If you look, revenue increasing, EBITDA nice. Obviously they have more shares. This doesn't show the shares here, but they did have more shares this last quarter, about 185 million from what I can see. So that is my breakdown of CleanSpark. It's not perfect, right? No company is perfect, and my breakdown isn't perfect either, but I think it gives you some indication as to my thoughts on the company. Bitcoin miners in general usually move with Bitcoin's price, but they move much more viciously. Like, if Bitcoin goes down 5%, miners will probably be down 15 to 20%. If Bitcoin goes up 5%, they'll probably be up 10 to 20%. And last cycle, we actually saw CleanSpark top out much earlier than Bitcoin itself. So if you look here, it topped out at this first, like towards the first peak. I think Bitcoin was maybe around $40,000 at this point, and CleanSpark went up to $40, and then it fell down and fell down and fell down. Of course, we did have a lower peak back during the second bull market, or the second part of the bull market, but never quite got there. So maybe this is something you want to pay attention to as well. Bitcoin miners in general are very cyclical, so keep that in mind. Now, let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Appreciate you guys for watching. Again, you can check out the link to Margex, and I'll see you in the next one.